moment, and I fell in love with that. I fell in love with Southern music. The Zeros, the Trader Truths, the ESGs, the Slim Thugs. But this is around, I gotta be maybe 10, 11 around this time.
Okay.
When I went to go venture out and find my own music. So then around like,
You was listening to them, the albums, the hard copy albums?
yeah, I was listening to hard copy albums, but
Okay.
also this is when LimeWire,
Right,
Napstar, and then now we on YouTube where we just got
yeah.
we got just lyrics.
Right.
We ain't got no more. We ain't got videos like
Right.
that yet. We got just lyrics or songs or uncensored or dirty or
Right,
you
yeah.
feel me. And then we went through that. Everybody went through that party phase where we listened to Travis Porter,
Right, Roscoe Dash.
Dash, Young LA, all of that, you know. And like Atlanta music was cool to me. Like I always argue with my homies about this. Like they love Atlanta music, like you know the Gucci's and Waka, and I love Gucci and Waka and Jeezy and all that. But like, bro, Texas music to me is just like, it's probably because I sip drink, but Texas music to me is just so far like it's beautiful because it's real life art behind it. It's art behind everything, but like in Texas, it's real life art behind it because they're giving you their whole culture in their music. Like they telling you about their gold teeth, they telling you about their purple drink, they telling you about their slab that they done spent their whole life working on. They probably worked on it with their father or their uncle or their grandpa. So they giving you their whole whatever in the music, and everyone else realistically are copycatters because we ain't have gold teeth up here like that unless you was in Chicago,
Right.
Because like that's where like Southern people come from, but like the gold teeth thing is a down south thing, it's a Texas thing. This purple drink thing is a Texas thing. So like everyone else seeing that said no to their music, but took everything else from them, and it's like you can't do that. That's literally what's happening to black people now. Like I seen something the other day, the Asians got dunks in China, afros,
Right.
do-rag, bandanas, they gang banging, Bloods, Crips. I said,
Right.
how are you blood and Crip in China? Who came over and started to say that? Makes no sense. Like,
Right.
why are you doing this? What are you really doing? But let's say it's time for you to get treated like you're supposed to get treated, repping this set. No. It's just for fashion. It's just for play, and you can't do that because they can't do that
Right.
when it's time for them to rep they set
Right.
for whatever they got going on. You know.
Right.
So it's just like I said, it goes back to what I say. You gotta pass down knowledge. You gotta let people know. Gotta shed awareness to shit.
Do you feel like you still, I know you said one of the things that you don't necessarily do is conscious music necessarily because you feel like it might not be received the best, but it seems like a lot of the things that you speak about sort of has some of those. And I personally don't really love the concept or the term of, you know,
being a conscious rapper,
or even just the term conscious, because I think that it means something different at different points. You know, I think that the history of rap, the history of rappers and rapping and the art of rapping is, you know, typically the better you are, the more amount of things you can talk about, or the more amount of things you can talk about, the better you are.
The more knowledge you have.
Yeah, you know, and even if it's not necessarily knowledge, but you just can speak about multiple things.
Right.
And so, because some people, you know about a lot, but they just not good at transferring that into writing music, you know.
Right.
It's some artists who, like, you know, for example, I love Pusha T, but Pusha T only rapped about primarily one subject matter, you know, for the entirety of his career. I'm sure that he knows about a lot more things, but he just chooses not to cover more span with this subject matter. And I think that one of the things that comes from that is that you become like a specialist in the subject matter.
Right.
So it's very few people who have had wittier lines about cocaine and selling cocaine
Than
than Pusha T has.
Yeah, for sure.
Because of, you know, the amount of time he has exercised it. But also, I think that there's other rappers who have talked about array of other things that are
Benny.
around, you know, selling.
Not to cut you off, Benny. Yeah, Benny. I just thought about Benny. I'm like, damn, Benny popped in my head when you said that because Benny be saying some crazy shit.
Yeah,
sometimes.
and Benny, same thing. Benny primarily talking about selling coke, and he got some of the craziest lines you will ever hear about selling coke, just because he's doing it so regularly, and he's doing it in such a, you know, to me, another example of it is like Young Jeezy also did talk about selling coke, but not as much as not how Pusha T do. And from the outside looking in, you might think they both, you know, talk about.
They both you right.
But if you listen to him enough, you know, like Young Jeezy raps about a wider amount of things than Pusha T raps about. And to me, that's one of the things that sort of connects people to Young Jeezy in a deeper way. Even though I wouldn't say Young Jeezy is a better rapper than Pusha T, but I think he's just as good as an artist, or maybe a better artist than Pusha T. And part of that is because he widened what he talked about to not just be about, you know, the different ways he sell coke.
Well, now I don't disagree with you, right. But only thing I can say to add to that is Kanye, being who Kanye is, and don't get me wrong, Pusha T's career is great.
Right.
But if Pusha T in 2018, 2019, when he started dissing Drake, if he stayed with Pharrell, like if he didn't go back to good music and stay with Pharrell, I guarantee you we might have had a pop single from Pusha T. You know why?
Yeah.
We look at this album. Look at this new album.
And I think we would have had a pop single, but it would have been like The Weeknd, I Can't Feel My Face, where if you know what that song is about, you know what the song is about. But if you don't know what the song is about, then you don't know what it's about.
Right.
Whereas Young Jeezy, like, and then what ain't really about selling cocaine. It's a couple lines. There's some good lines in there where cocaine is cocaine centric, but the song not about that. You know, like that's not the overall subject matter. Like when you listen to his album, it's not the overall subject matter. As opposed to with Pusha T, I think that's sort of his.
All it is baking soda dinner date and let it ventilate on the stove.
And you know, and he gonna bring it back somewhere. You know, and I, you know, like I said, I'm a fan. You know, and I think that even when he have one song or two songs, that's not like that don't really mean nothing in the album with 11 or 12 songs. But I think that is a thing that is, you know, very helpful when you start listening to different music and talking and listening to different artists and engaging with different artists, being able to sort of widen out the amount of things that you talk about, you know, especially if you already have belief in some of the things or knowledge of some of the things. And so I'm saying all that to say that I don't necessarily consider rappers who maybe talk more about political ideology to be conscious. You know, I just think that means you just got an extra skill set. You know, the same way I don't necessarily consider everybody who rap gun bars to be making gangster music. Yeah, you know, like this, he rapping about shooting, but like I wouldn't call that gangster music. Like somebody else who don't really know hip hop, here you have a couple of these lines where you talking about, you might, like Drake got lines talking about shooting, you know, and pulling out a gun, you know, like, so like that's not necessarily gangster music, you know. So just because, you know, you rap about the line or you have a same thing like